Martin was a young monkey that resided in Prey Angkor, a Cambodian jungle where several creatures and flora could be found. His mother and father adored him despite the fact that he was the youngest and weakest of their 5 children. He learned from them how to climb trees, hunt for food, and be safe. Martin was barely a week old when the forest was suddenly afflicted by a dreadful sickness. Martin's parents were among the ill and deceased animals. Martin, who had been abandoned, cried out in helplessness for his parents. He had no idea where to go or what to do. Fortunately, several wildlife conservationists who were in the jungle doing their work heard his cries and located him. They were devastated to witness the infant monkey with the dead animals. Martin would go with them, and they would try to locate him a new place to live. They transported him to a neighboring pagoda where an elderly monk and an elderly monkey were living. The old monkey was really lonely and ill since he had also lost his family to the illness. He was looked after by the monk, who also provided him food and medicine. The monk was asked whether he might adopt Martin and nurture him as his own by the animal conservationists. The monk accepted and invited Martin inside his residence. He gave him the name Martin in honor of one of the environmentalists who had saved him. Although Martin was first terrified, he quickly warmed up to the monk and the elderly monkey. He started to adore them since they were his new family. He learned a lot from the elderly monkey, including how to be kind to others, how to meditate, and how to appreciate nature. Martin grew up in the pagoda, where he was healthy and content, but he also longed his family. He questioned if they had died and gone to paradise or if they were still living somewhere in the wilderness. He also pondered whether he would ever see the forest again and what it was like. The elderly monkey passed away one day when Martin was around 3 years old. He had a lengthy history of chronic sickness, and in the end, he died calmly while sleeping. Martin and the monk, who were both grieving greatly, buried him in the pagoda's garden. Once more feeling incredibly alone, Martin wished he could play with someone. In addition, he had a deep desire to discover what lay beyond the pagoda. He wanted to travel, interact with wildlife, and experience new adventures. He made the decision to leave the pagoda and return to the woods. The monk offered him his blessing and some food for his journey before he said the monk farewell. He expressed his gratitude to him. Martin left on his adventure feeling both anxious and eager. He moved across farms, through hills, and across rivers. He witnessed numerous breathtaking views, including rainbows, flowers, and waterfalls. Other amiable creatures he encountered included deer, bunnies, and birds. They became his buddies, and they guided him in the right direction. He also came into several threats including snakes, hunters, and traps. To avoid them, he needed to be cautious and astute. To live, he made use of the abilities he had picked up from his parents, the monk, and the elderly monkey. He eventually returned to Prey Anchor after several days of journey. Some of the rocks and trees he had seen as a child came to mind. He went in search of the house he had formerly shared with his parents and brothers. After some looking, he discovered it, but it was empty and deserted. His family and any other monkeys were nowhere to be seen. Despite his sadness and disappointment, he maintained his optimism. He made the decision to continue searching the jungle for other monkeys. He wanted to locate some family members or acquaintances among them. He spent a long time wandering the bush and yelling for other monkeys. From a distance, he heard some answers, but they sounded harsh and unwelcoming. He was not to be allowed to approach them at all. He understood that he was not like these monkeys. In contrast to him, they were violent and wild, who was serene and kind. They didn't invite outsiders into their land or provide them food.